Hello, my name's Phil Begnett, and welcome to the very latest episode of Handpan Voices, a podcast dedicated to inspiring stories from across the whole of the handpan world. If you're here watching this on YouTube, don't forget this is also available as an audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, so you can carry on with the rest of your day and have me waffling on in the background, talking and geeking out about everything handpan. In this episode of Handpan Voices, I'm joined by Lyndon Forster for a thoughtful conversation about music, care, creativity, and the deeper role that handpan can play in people's lives. Lyndon shares his journey for growing up surrounded by rhythm in Africa, to discovering the djembe, finding the handpan of course, and eventually using music in schools, hospices, retreats, and mental health settings. We talk about his work through We Need Music and Pankind, the calming and connective power of the instrument, and why handpan can become much more than a performance. Lyndon Forster, welcome to Handpan Voices.
Lovely to be here.
Now, you have been definitely decided upon to be the nicest person in the handpan community. It's official. You've been voted the best, nicest person in the handpan community because everybody that I speak to about you always says afterwards, "Isn't he such a lovely man?"
Thank you.
I don't know if you know that. You know, people do. It's basically
no.
the natural thing that they say after they mention your name. He is such a lovely man. Everybody I talk to, it's true. You're very supportive. You do a lot of great things, and that's what we want to talk about tonight. You're a huge asset to the community of the handpan, especially in the UK, but probably a bit further afield as well. So we could talk about a load of different things, but let's start right from the beginning. Have you always had music inside you, do you think? Ever since you were a little boy? What are some of your earliest memories of music or enjoying music when you were little?
I grew up in a variety of different countries in Africa.
Right.
I was born in South Africa, and then we moved to different countries like Zambia and Malawi and Ghana. So I spent various time in these different countries, so surrounded by music. Didn't really play anything properly as a child, musical instrument. I will go back to that bit in a minute, but the actual being surrounded by music, particularly in West Africa, everywhere you go, there's just it's incredible music. There's people singing, there's drumming, there's dancing. I love it. It's so vibrant.
Yeah.
And I think that was, although at the time I wasn't a drummer, there was definitely was a defining point in my life. So Ghana, I was there between about the age of about 8 till 12. And yeah, it's wonderful. Such an incredible country. And you'd go to sleep at night, and we lived on the edge of the town, so you'd hear drums like all night off in the background. And yeah, I think unconsciously it almost sort of filtered in when I started playing later myself.
So were your parents British living in Ghana, or were they from Africa?
My parents were British. They're Salvation Army, so they were running all sorts of different projects throughout lots and lots of different countries, and amazing people really. And I certainly had an interesting childhood as a result.
Sounds it, yeah. So you think maybe you were downloading percussion and rhythm into your body before you even really thought about taking it up or showing an interest in it? It was just seeping into your soul, really, wasn't it? Without you even knowing, maybe.
It's funny. I would sort of say yes, because I didn't actually start playing properly till my mid-20s. I was in.
Right.
I was about 22. I got a djembe and very quickly met a djembe teacher in Bournemouth, where I was living.
Right.
But as soon as I started playing, it just felt right. I'm the reason I say that is I've had other experience. I tried to learn the cornet as a child,
Yeah.
like trumpet and guitar and things, and nothing ever really sat comfortably. It didn't really gel with me, particularly the cornet.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like the music. I didn't like Salvation Army band music. Um, my teacher was a great player, but not a great teacher. So
Yeah.
those sort of things perhaps put me off slightly playing musical instruments. But when I came to playing djembe, as I said, in my mid-20s, it just
Yeah.
felt absolutely right. And a lot of those rhythms, whilst I probably didn't consciously remember them,
Yeah.
there was this, I seemed to get them very quickly. And very quickly, like with the handpan, got very involved in that world for a decade.
Tell me a little bit about that then, the djembe. How did you sort of look back at West African percussion influences, or did you have certain people around you at that time that were inspiring you or getting you involved in it in a community sort of area?
The first guy. Interestingly, if you were at Hangout this year, you might have met James, very tall guy with all the drums and the jundans.
Yes.
James was my first ever djembe teacher.
Of course, I remember him now. Yeah.
Lovely guy. And then Shek, who was at Hangout a couple of years before that. After a few years of learning with James, Shek arrived in Bournemouth, so we all ended up. It was probably a group loosely of about 15, but probably a core group of about 7 or 8 of us. And we were playing for, so it wasn't just djembe, it's djembe and dundans, the like full polyrhythmic West African drumming with dancing. And it was, it's great.
Oh, wow.
Really fantastic.
Cool. That sounds great.
But it was my first sort of steps into actually learning a musical instrument. What I think I loved about it was that I'd been with those other types of instrument. There was, this is how you play. This is music, and it never fitted with me. And I've looked back on that a lot. I think it's influenced how I teach as well, actually, because I learn differently. I've found I suppose the oral tradition of djembe and how that was taught just fitted so much better with me rather than reading music, which is great. It's a wonderful thing to be able to read music. I have this weird thing that every time I try to, it all sort of moves around the place. I try to, so I've had to find my own way in that sense, I suppose.
It's interesting that, because a lot of people come to the handpan with the same ideas that they're not really musical, and yet it opens up this door to the world of music and allows them. People like me, I've only been involved in it for 3 years now. But I'm already now interested in music and music theory because of my lack of knowledge and the sort of entry level of percussion and handpan allows you, right? I think, the Celtics and scales like that allow you just to simply play and you can sort of express yourself without having to. Yeah, for sure. So, what was your first experience of a handpan, Lyndon? Take me to your foundation story. What was the first moment?
So I again was in Bournemouth. They were in about 2006. Yeah, 2006. I was working on a nature reserve as a countryside ranger. Yeah, and we did a storytelling evening, and I got all the drummers to come to the storytelling evening. And one of the drummers was a lady called Lena, who, again, you might know from Hangout UK. Lena's partner, Barry, was at the weekend and brought his hang.
Which I've played, actually, weirdly. Yeah, he brought it 2 years ago and I played it. Yeah, fantastic. Wow. Yeah.
Well, he brought it to this storytelling event, and it was the first time, and he entrusted me to play this thing. And I'd never seen one before.
Right.
I'd never heard one before, actually, and it was just, wow. I was just like, oh my word, this is incredible. It was something about the feeling of the instrument. I don't know, obviously the sound, but the way, the tactileness of the playing, the shape of the instrument, the way that it, I don't know, I absolutely fell in love with this thing. And I played it one more time, probably a year or so later at another event. And I didn't actually manage to get one until 2015 was probably the next time I actually managed to play a handpan, but when I got my first one. So
2006 is really early. Like,
I think it was 2000. Yeah, it was 2007. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of the
wow,
timeline when I was working at Steamer Point. Yeah, 2007. But
it's
yes,
still
we're quite
very early,
early.
isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, Hangout UK didn't exist, did it then, or did it?
yeah. So that's been going 20 years. So
Okay, maybe then, yeah.
around, yeah. Sort of what? That must be about
Gosh.
2005. Yeah. Gosh, yeah. Reasonably early, but as I said, that it was Barry that introduced me. Funnily enough, the very first time I went to Hangout, I was stood there, a group of people, chatting away, and all four of us had been introduced to that instrument by Barry Mason. So yeah,
He's a
interesting.
bit of a legend. Makes a lot of
Absolutely,
gongs as well, right? Just taught himself.
absolutely.
A lot of like the handpan makers taught himself to do that.
Titanium gongs, absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was my first experience of it. And I said, but it took over 10 years before I actually, well, no, almost 10 years before I got my hands on one properly.
And what was that? What was that, and where did you get it from?
That was a prototype instrument by Amana from Ukraine.
Yeah,
It was, I think it was one of their quite early ones. It sounds very different to anything that they produce now. It was made from rolled steel, so
right.
different steel and nitrided. Um,
Rolled
and
steel.
yeah, it's got a very interesting sound, almost a sort of ceramic sound to it. It's
Really?
unlike any other handpan I've got. I've still got it, and I do occasionally play it. But it's yeah, it's a bit of one of those things that I think it's a little piece of history, really. Amana have gone on to make incredible instruments. They really have. Um,
And
yeah,
when you got involved in the instrument, did you feel like your djembe days? Did you feel like, oh, I want to try and get other people to share this passion of mine? Do I want to? Did you start looking out or reaching out or finding other sort of handpan players in the UK at that time? And how did you get on that in those early days?
when I got the instrument, I was at work because I had to have it delivered to work because otherwise it would have turned up on the doorstep and at my house and got left there. So I had it delivered
Yeah.
to work, and I was working in I was a horticulture facilitator for adults with special educational needs,
Ah,
and it arrived at our tea break during the middle of one of our horticulture sessions. So I unboxed this thing, and oh, wow, fantastic! And I just sat and I started playing it. Um, and I had this. It was beautiful. It had a really lovely, calming effect on everybody in the room,
oh yeah.
even though I had never really played the thing before. But immediately, so I started playing it to other people immediately. Um, Starting to play with other players, really, that probably wasn't until for at least a year or so. I don't think I met anybody else. Um, and then yeah, it's probably around the first time I went to Hangout UK,
Yeah.
2016. That was
Yeah.
really meeting loads of other people and actually getting to jam with other people for the first time with these instruments. No one had the same scale as me, unfortunately, but but it's that sort of festival where everybody, oh, try this one, try this one. So I
Yeah.
quickly got to try lots of other ones, met some great people. Um, yeah, and out of that, I think I met Daryl from Panama at that
Yeah.
um, around that sort of time, and he's in Exeter, which isn't that far at all from where I live. So he
Yeah.
was probably the first person I knew around this sort of area.
Obviously, you got friendly with him. You got chatting at Hangout UK, and you started working with him or for him for a couple of years. You obviously had a.
Yeah,
Did you
it's a
just
few
want to
years
be
later.
around the instruments a bit more? Or were you actually interested in the actually how they were put together?
It was an interesting one because so it was a good few years after it. I commissioned Daryl to make my first like I had my that first instrument. I was like, right, this is what I want, and I asked him to make me a Saladin scale. It's kind of like a G. It's a G harmonic minor, kind of
Yeah.
jazz like, but he made this beautiful instrument for me, and we got friendly. And it wasn't till it was 2018. Um, it's a tricky point in my life. I
Okay.
lost two jobs at that point, and through redundancy and
Yeah.
other stuff in my life happened. Losing my mum,
Yeah.
not a great place, but out of that and the need for work, Daryl got in touch and said, "Look, I need someone in the workshop. Would you be interested?" So I did 2 days a week with him for about 2 years, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, and He's
Yeah.
a Daryl's a great guy. He was a really good guy. He is one of the most creative and meticulous people I've ever met when it comes to his instruments. The passion that he puts into the detail and the artwork, but it's not just the artwork. They sound incredible and they look incredible. So it was a real pleasure to get to work with him. I learned a lot. Really got to see the instrument from a different perspective than just playing it as well, which was good.
Yeah.
I never tuned. My job was mainly sort of creating the bodies of the instruments, so forming the dings, the tone fields, and the goo, and a bit of sort of coloration and other things like that. And Daryl would shape and tune the instruments. But just that part of the process,
And
learned
were
so.
these stainless steel, ember steel pans,
Not at
Lyndon, or were they still nitrided pans
No,
at the
this
time?
at that point it was pretty much yeah. I think we got the first bits and pieces of stainless through at that point that Daryl had used.
Yeah.
So I played a few instruments at that point in stainless, but it was still relatively uncommon. And then I think most of the instruments we're making were nitrided. Beautiful though, really lovely. Um, I've got a really lovely chromatic set of Panama nitrided hand pans, which are very across three chromatic set across three, which is nice.
Lovely. So you still obviously have a joy and a passion for the nitrided steel, but you seem to have moved over to a more of a melodic sort of style of playing, and obviously ember steel and stainless steel pans sort of work in that sort of style, don't they? Do you think this the change of the material influenced the way you play, or did something else inside you wanted to express yourself differently? Maybe
That's a really good question, but I think I put it down initially, I suppose, to the sustain on a nitrided pan, where it's much less. It suits that fast rhythmic playing a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's obviously my background was that type of music. So playing a lot faster, really based around the ding, playing one instrument at a time, and that sort of very percussive style of playing. When I think my first stainless pan was a Pan Stream, an F2 low pygmy, and when I first got that, and it's so beautiful, and you tap it, and it just goes.
Yeah.
And the sustain on that thing lasts for so long, and it was a real change because you can't play that fast. You can, but it sounds muddy. It just doesn't feel right, really. I started experimenting a lot more with playing chords, chord progressions, and sort of arpeggios. Also mixing up instruments as well. So bringing a few notes from another instrument, and that. And at that point, that sort of all started to change a little bit. I still do that with nitrided pans, but but I said because the style has changed. But I think it was a gradual evolution, really, over the last 10 years or so. I've definitely slowed down, and actually, I think possibly to do with how I've been using them as well. So the idea of taking them outside, and I do an exercise sometimes when I'm teaching where I get people to sit under a tree for 2 minutes and to not touch the instrument. Have it on your lap. Don't touch it whatsoever. Ground yourself. Find your place in the soundscape that you're in before touching the instrument. So listening, what sounds are around you, really centering yourself, and then playing into that rather than just playing over the top of it. And that, I think, you can't help but play slowly. Or if you start to like that, you're just playing over the top of everything that's there, but playing into it really delicately and slowly. And I think that's probably also influenced the way I play a little bit more at the moment. Yeah.
Well, having experienced that myself firsthand at one of your lovely retreats, I can thoroughly recommend it to anybody that is considering doing that. It's a lovely thing to. It's like a sort of reflection or meditation moment, isn't it? To sort of be very, very present.
Yeah.
To get yourself out of your mind and to be in the place where you're at, and to feel that you're part of something bigger and
Mm.
yeah, more important, I think. And it was a lovely, yeah, I remember that day very distinctly. And you had to go on from that a little bit. You had everybody dotted around the whole forest,
Mm.
and then you had us
Beautiful.
playing, like waiting for people to start, and then coming in sort of in stages. And so you would then hear other people playing, or you would go over to them and say, "Now you start." So it was a very gradual, growing sort of environmental moment, but also yeah, very personal one. So it was a wonderful thing, and we'll talk about Pankine a bit
Yeah.
later on for sure.
That's that. What you just described is it's one of my favourite places to play handpan. It's so beautiful. It's under a grove of 30 redwood. They're not the sort of size of some of the
Yeah.
American redwoods. They're British redwoods, but it's beautiful. Such an amazing spot, and it really I find so much creativity flows in that place. It's great.
It's a wonderful place. Tell me about your personal solo project Fall that has a little bit of electronic music influence in there. Let me know where, you know, tell me about that side of your musical identity and how that helps you, your solo sort of creativity comes out when you do those sort of pieces of music.
Sure. Well, my the sort of electronic music that I love would be stuff like Aphex Twin and Autechre, that type of square pusher, really interesting stuff. I can't compare myself in any way to any of them.
Yeah,
However, I love the idea of the textures and the sounds that they produce. Um, and that's, I suppose, where I've started. I'll take a piece of handpan music and then play around with that. Um, no one's really ever taught me how to produce music on a computer. It was a self-taught thing during the
yeah,
COVID lockdowns, I suppose. I got interested in. Right, I'm sure I could do this. Um, so really, just creating pieces of music and trying to. Yeah, I think I said before. I love tweaking. I'll create it.
yeah,
It's all about texture. I think for me, I
yeah,
love depths of sound and textures and different layers as well. So trying to place the handpan within that, where it still sounds like a handpan,
yeah.
but is part of something bigger. I don't always get that right. What is nice though is it's a project that's allowed me a lot of freedom because I decided quite early on that I wasn't going to do it for anybody else other than me. I'm happy to put it out and
Right.
put it into the world, and that's fine. But I suppose I wanted to give myself permission to create whatever I wanted to, not to be creating music in order for people to like buy it or like how did I say it? Like yeah, to try and suit other people. Just do whatever felt right for me, and then hopefully it connects with people. That's ideally, obviously, people will enjoy it and listen to it. But fundamentally, I wanted to make it for myself, and yeah, I've come up with some interesting, weird, and wonderful stuff. Some stuff I'm really happy with, but yeah, it's unusual, shall we say? I've also I I love drawing and I love sculpture, so I've tried to bring that idea of fall, that name. I've tried to bring a lot of those kind of other creative practices within that as well as more of a kind of a creative alias rather than just a music thing. Um, I don't know. That's a recent development anyway.
What do you feel about the neotone for as an instrument itself? Do you think that's progressing? Do you think it's going to sort of bring these two worlds together a little bit more easy, or what's your opinions about
Yes,
that
it's a great
particular
question.
instrument?
I've never played one. I haven't played one yet. I've seen people play them. They sound incredible. They really do. I How would I say? So I backed a Kickstarter campaign for the Lumen Handpan
Yeah.
years ago. I'll be honest, I was pretty disappointed. Actually, it was a MIDI controller. The sound samples were not up to scratch, I don't believe. Um, the Neotone is worlds apart from that.
Yeah.
I suppose I don't have any, I would say, moral objection to it. Personally, I like the feeling of steel.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing. Um, I can definitely see how it could be a really useful thing. For example, if you're a traveling musician and you're wanting to, you know,
Yeah.
go from one country to another, to be able to take one instrument and be able to is incredible. I think there's some real useful sort of
Yeah.
things that has a niche within it. I don't think it would ever take over from the original
No.
from the acoustic instrument, and I
No.
don't think the people from Neotone would want it to. Truthfully, it's part of the culture of handpan, but it's perhaps its own niche. I love what you can do again from a perspective of electronic music and the ease of
Absolutely.
miking up. That's
Yeah.
something I struggle with. A lot of the time, I will play
Yeah.
acoustically just because I'm not confident enough to mic up my instruments very well. And sometimes, if you get a sound person that's never seen a handpan before,
Yeah.
you again that side of things can be so being able to just with the Neotone or something similar to be able to plug that in and get this high quality sound that you can actually use MIDI and you can create
Yeah.
you can create all sorts of great sounds out of it. So I think they're a great thing. As I said, personally, for me, it's about
Yeah.
hands on Steam. But I'd be interested to try one at some point. I definitely would.
Yeah, me too. I'm quite interested in the MIDI capabilities of accessing synthesizers or different types of sound in a handpan style. So
Yes.
not necessarily generating the sound of a handpan or replicating the sound of steel, but using that sort of how you've learned to play in a certain way and how to put patterns together and the way that you
Absolutely.
approach the instrument, but creating synths and drones and different sounds and stuff. I think that for me is really interesting. And I've also started. I've been on. I've dragged myself onto TikTok this year, and I'm going to be
Right.
doing some live streaming and stuff on there. And there's a guy on there who literally uses a lot of contact microphones with guitar pedals and guitar FX boxes. And so he
Interesting.
has his microphone that he records, and he mostly uses tongue drums. To be fair, he has a tongue drum, uses a main mic through a sort of a controller, but he also has contact mics plugged straight into like guitar effects boxes, like for reverb and delays and sort of ambience and stuff. And the contact mics are always said, oh, well, they're not as good as a normal condensed mic, but once again, just to create that environment and that sort of soundscape in the background, I think there's a lot to be said about the crossover between electronic music and playing this sort of round circle sort of
Absolutely. And the
drum.
intuitiveness of that playing style. I absolutely agree.
So you're not only a musician, you're not only a teacher, but you also are involved, and you've started up some really amazing personal projects evolved around music to help others. One being the biggest one that you've been involved in, We Need Music. So where did that idea
Yeah.
come from? Did you have it over a cup of tea one day, and how has it grown into what it is today? I know it's a very big question. It's an amazing thing you've put together, but tell me
Yeah.
about the how that started, Lyndon, and what it is today.
I remember the specific moment. Actually, I was making an instrument at Panama one
Yeah,
afternoon, and as you're doing this, my mind was drifting and imagining, and I was thinking, obviously I play these instruments, but I have a teaching qualification. I love working with people. I love working in therapeutic settings.
yeah,
I wonder what could I do with handpans, and it was that sort of spurred it. I got home, and my wife Laura had seen a um, poster up for a local group called Local Spark, who help to. They're really sort of working on social enterprise businesses, trying to help people to set up social enterprise business. And it was that week, so I went along, shared the idea, and it sort of went from there. Really, um, it was I ended up pitching at a local entrepreneurs forum.
okay,
The idea, it was really successful, and the thing is, the moment you get a handpan out, everyone's like, "What?" You don't have to say anything. It almost sold itself. This idea of, well, and just the people I met from those initial early days, and I'm going to be honest with you, as much as I have worked really hard, I've had so many opportunities happen just organically. People have randomly contacted me, or I've met someone that's led to
yeah,
somebody else. So many of these situations over the years that have led to working in some really, really interesting places. So We Need Music is, after I'd sort of developed this idea with the handpans, I call that Pankind. Pankind was my idea for so working using handpans with other people, I suppose. Um,
okay.
my wife is also a really amazing musician,
She is
very, and a community musician, a qualified youth worker. She had an MA in youth and community work. So we thought, well, we wanted to do things together. So we set up what's called a CIC. It's a community interest company. So all of the
okay.
work that we do, any profits generated from that, from the work, get fed back into it, and allow us to kind of fund other things. It also allows us to apply for funding through Arts Council, Youth Music, various different things, which we've managed to get some interesting little pots of funding over the years as well.
Good
Um,
stuff.
so we've been going about 5 years now. It was May 2020, just after the first pandemic kind of lockdown.
Yeah,
We got the thing back to say that yes, you're registered as a CIC. So we managed to weather that storm. And Laura's part of We Need Music tends to be more focused around early years, working with babies and toddlers and their parents, and
yeah.
in educational settings. I'm doing some work with her actually at the moment with the handpans. It's, in fact, this morning we did a beautiful baby music session. It was really lovely. So I'm doing bits and pieces of that, but my work's focused mainly in going into schools. I tend to run. I can run up to 20 children at a time with handpans and other percussion.
Yeah.
And then I've been into care homes and pupil referral unit. I had some very interesting sessions, about 15 sessions in a secure psychiatric hospital. And recently, so the last couple of years, hospices. I'm really finding. I found something I really, how would I say, really connected with me working in hospices, and it tends to be
Okay.
working more with families of people affected by grief rather than people actually dying. But it's been really, really interesting sort of journey with that, and using handpan in all of these different places, realizing So I have to say, I'm not a music therapist or a sound healer or any, qualified in any of those things.
Yeah.
But my tool is handpan. That's what I say. And what it does is it just seems to open people up to talk, to express themselves. Um, I see people building confidence, particularly children who perhaps are, I'm a bit wary of, wanting to get involved, and then they do, and wow, it really, it's such a beautiful thing to see. Yeah,
Yeah. I heard a lovely phrase once. It might have even been you. I don't know. And you could probably say it was. People say, I'm not a music therapist, but I play therapeutic music.
that wasn't me, but
It's
yeah,
good though, isn't it?
yeah,
Because you
absolutely.
do. You're making music that calms people that really need it. And I think that's how you come into my radar, Lyndon, was your amazing website. And I was fascinated about all these places that you were going into, all these people that needed help and support and a bit of care and a little bit of magic in their lives because they've been lacking in so many different areas that, they've just been unlucky, or they've been ill, or they've, something's happened that's taken them down the road that they couldn't really have any control over.
Mm.
And I was so in awe of that and fascinated by it, and that's why I started to talk to you about it, because I've always myself personally wanted to do the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Play in hospitals, play in wards, play in end of life care, play. I think providing music, it's not as a service, but it's something special, isn't it? What do you think? It is about that handpan that makes people melt a little bit? What does it do? Have you considered it over the years? Do you sort of have you understood what is going on? Do you think?
I don't know. And again, I think it's in different ways. So just hearing the instrument seems to have a profound effect on a lot of people. Um, so I'll give you a good example.
Yeah,
The psychiatric hospital. You've got you've got a group of prisoners basically coming in for a session with the staff. Really, the first few sessions I did there, very high energy, like.
yeah,
And actually, I did take handpans, but not my good one, my better ones to begin with.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
so I got used to it. But what I noticed was, so I think it was probably around the third session, I took one of the F2s in, and I sat on the floor beforehand, and I brought it to about a sort of probably 40 beat per minute
right,
heartbeat pulse on the center of that ding, just playing
yeah,
gently and slowly, and then dragging that back really slowly, probably 30 beats per minute. So a really, um, it felt when they walked into the room, there was this immediate sort of sense of calm, and that could have been radiating from me because I got myself into a place of calm. But
yeah,
the sound was completely different, and it just felt like that's what was needed. So that's how I started all of those sessions after that. It just felt like to enter into it. So hearing it, feeling it, but then also that idea of when you play that and the I think what I alluded to before about the intuitiveness of handpan and how you could be and I taught 5-year-olds, a 5-year-old can
yeah,
sit there in front of this instrument and given a few minutes of this is how to get the sounds out of it, suddenly you're making beautiful music. Or group of people I've been working with recently who the idea of the project was who might have experiences in their life that have told them they're not musicians. They're
yeah, for
adults and
sure.
they're not
Yeah,
musical.
yeah,
Every single one of those people, after the end of our 3-week course that we did, was playing, like properly playing and improvising, playing rhythms that I taught them, but also creating their own rhythms, sitting there connecting, playing with other people. And that sort of idea of bringing people together, that in itself, the music bringing people together,
yeah,
the um, the way that handpan, I think it, as I said, it gives you that confidence to that you can do this. You are musical, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It's such a wonderful thing to watch that change happen when someone realizes it and they're like, oh, I love it. I never get
and
sick of that.
you've obviously had to do a lot of trial and error to see how things work and how different people respond, because every age group is different. And I remember you giving a talk once where you literally placed an instrument in front of somebody because you couldn't really know how to sort of interact with them, and you just decided to say nothing
Mm-hmm.
at all and place
Mm-hmm.
an instrument in front of them. Do you mind telling us a
Yeah.
little bit more about that story if you want to?
I think that was the. I think that was back at the pupil referral unit.
Yeah.
Um, that was a young man that I have to be honest, that was a djembe. It
Okay.
wasn't if it's the
Yeah.
story I'm thinking of. It was a quite a troubled young man who I had bumped into previously, who was very angry, and I was
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I don't know, and I ended up working with him. But it started off with djembe with him that I was playing and he wasn't getting involved, but I did. I just put that instrument there, and as I was playing, I pointed at him at the
Okay.
instrument, and he joined me in that. Interestingly, that young man who, as I say, he was a big lad, really really big lad, very good djembe player, but he had this lovely soft touch on the handpan as well,
Nice.
and it was so interesting watching him from. I can't obviously give an awful lot away, but
No.
he had a lot of problems with aggression, and the school found that instrument really helped him to calm down. So I was going in there once a week, working with him.
It's an amazing thing you do, Lyndon. Honestly,
Thank you,
it
mate.
must give you so much satisfaction and joy seeing these people's reactions to music, and it must be a little bit draining as well. But it must be a very
Well,
I don't know how to describe it
so
really.
if I could give you another example,
Yeah,
if you said it's
please.
trading. So I was at a school in North Devon 2 years ago, and I did 4 days, worked with 360 children over
Wow.
4 days. And at the end of the fourth day, I picked up a handpan and went to the beach. I swear.
Yeah.
And I went and I sat and I played.
Yeah.
I love these instruments and I love playing these instruments so much that, yes, physically it can be quite, lugging instruments all over Devon. It's like physically it can be quite
Yeah.
challenging, and I'm in my 40s now. It takes a toll in that respect, but I never get tired of the teaching side of things or working with people and also playing as well. I play every day
Yeah.
and just always take an opportunity to connect with an instrument, even if it's for a few seconds, but ideally a lot longer than that.
It's great that you still love the instrument, even if it's like part of your job. You're
Yeah,
definitely a person who has to play for your job. But you've
definitely.
obviously, you know, you've been playing a long time. You've become a very good player,
Thank you.
and you perform solo, and You've collaborated with lots of different types of people.
Mhm.
What's your own sound? What's your own style these days, Linda? If you were going to describe the way that you play, and how does
Ooh,
that come around
um,
when you compose your own music? Say,
yeah, absolutely. I would say nowadays, most of the stuff that I play tends to be quite melancholic sounding,
yeah.
big, slow, melancholic pieces. I,
Is that quite introspective, do you think, or do you just love the sound that
definitely,
much?
I think so. And I'm a real fan of bass handpands. So
Yeah,
I,
me too.
absolutely love bass. So using those really kind of deep notes and just slow. So I think what happened was I was playing weddings for quite a while, and I love
Okay.
weddings. You're there on this lovely, wonderful day with people, and you get to share in that. But you can't really take a really minor key instrument and play.
No,
So,
you'd
it's
disappear into the background, wouldn't you? They couldn't really
It,
even hear you, I
you
suppose.
need to keep it upbeat. Need to keep it sort of um,
Yeah.
happy. So I suppose this is almost like my antithesis. Is that the word? Like the opposite. The stuff that I'm now
Okay. All
composing
right.
tends to be a lot more. Quite melancholic. Sometimes quite dark, actually. But I also so that's I suppose the solo handpan stuff. But I mix it up with other styles of music as well. I love. I love electronic music and I love rock music, metal, all of that. Got quite a wide range of taste of music.
Yeah.
But I love trying to mix handpan with that, and trying to kind of see where that will go. I really experimenting, playing around with it, and I use playing with the in really. I mean that. Like, I think often people talk of playing music as, and whilst there's nothing wrong with it, you're not playing it, you're reciting it. It's that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That can
Yeah.
often be a word that's used. When I play with music, I love to just play. You're playing around, improvising. What's this
Okay.
word? Like creating things, and actually, I think the freedom of that is it's really fun. It's really really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fascinating that part of it, that I am drawn towards freestyle
mm,
and just self-expression myself a lot. But I think there's probably there's probably like a perfect middle ground, isn't there, of
mm,
like having a foundation of a composition, maybe a
yeah,
start, a middle, and an end, and then flowing around those ideas, see what comes out at that moment. I guess.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I do struggle somewhat with composition. I've recorded a couple of albums. No, yeah, an EP, two EPs, and an album so far. And I think like I'm comfortable playing, but I do find that the actual compositional side of it, of creating a piece of music, it can be quite challenging. I've not got any background in having been taught that, so kind of
Yeah.
making it up, I suppose. Um, the last album I did, I was quite happy with that. If afterwards, and I thought, well, it wasn't as it's a bit different. I don't know how to describe it really. Didn't didn't follow a sort of a structure that I would have initially went out to do. I created it over a long period of time and played around and tweaked it and
Oh yeah.
changed it. So yeah.
Are you a man that sort of likes to change things over and over again, or not quite happy with that? Or yeah,
tweaking. Yeah,
yeah,
which is again, it's worlds away from the actual performance in the moment performance. But yeah, when I do enjoy playing around with music. As I say, it's a hobby. Yeah.
Do you are you one of these people that record yourself to listen back to what you've done, or do you just play? Do you sit down? I know you quite, through the summer months, you live in a beautiful part of the UK called Devon. For the people who are listening, all the different countries, you do take your handpad down at sunset, don't you, to simply play? Do you
Regular.
record those sessions, or do you just see
Occasionally?
Yeah.
I often find that I'm so in the moment playing that I forget to, or
Yeah.
that if I try to then set it all up, you break that
Yeah.
flow. So 9 times out of 10, no, I don't. I don't get round to recording it. I'll occasionally manage to do so, but I often meet up with a friend, my friend Sammy, who's a percussionist, tabla player, and
Yeah.
it's lovely. We meet down at the beach sometimes, and we've managed to record ourselves once or twice, but it's such a lovely connection when you start playing and you just get into that beautiful state of flow. I often don't want to interrupt it. Don't want to.
Sounds
Go, right,
wonderful.
okay, let's do that again. Try to set stuff up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm more about being in the moment, I think.
Let's talk about some other collaborations that you were involved in.
So back in 2023, I had a random message come in from a chap asking about my music and the handpans and if I could tell him a bit more. So I sent a message back, really nice one, just explaining what I do. Didn't hear anything for a week or two, and then I received a message from his wife requesting that I joined Pandit Sanju Sahai and 6 other internationally renowned musicians at Dartington Hall for the Thrive Festival, which is a festival of Indian music. I was absolutely blown away. Pandit Sanju Sahai is a phenomenal tabla player. He's the head of the Banaras Tabla Gharana, which is one of the schools of tabla. Incredible man and a wonderful teacher and player. Anyway, I have to condense this because it's a long story, but I agreed, obviously, to do this. Was very excited, feeling incredibly honoured, but immediately was filled with absolute dread, terrified at the prospect of really the fact that I didn't really believe in myself as a musician at that point. I think I didn't really have the confidence to join these people on stage. And I'd also the fact that we weren't going to be meeting because till the day before the concert. People were flying in from different countries for it. Now, yeah, I was absolutely terrified. I didn't really know what to do. And I went through a month of really, really doubting myself. I was trying to learn a half an hour piece of music, Rag Baravi, which is an incredible piece of music. Anyway, to cut a massively long story short, during that period of time, David Kuckerman released a series on Hampan Dojo about imposter syndrome and anxiety to do with performing on stage. And people like Rosie Begonzi and Amy Naylor, David himself, various other people recorded videos and gave loads of hints and advice. It was so helpful, so helpful, and it really helped me to begin to believe in myself. When I finally met with this group, who were an absolutely lovely group of people, they were wonderful and incredibly encouraging and really filled me with confidence to do this. And I got up and I played, and I had the best night ever, best night of my life, and still consider them all to be friends, which is wonderful. So yeah, it was such an important part of my musical career, really, and my life actually. So I'm eternally grateful for that.
You've collaborated with your lovely wife,
Oh,
Believer.
Believer, yeah.
Believer. I always say Believer every time.
It's
terrible. It's obviously Believer.
It reads like it. Believer's a tour near us on Dartmoor. It's one of our favourite places, and that's where the name came from. But yeah, don't worry about it.
Tell us the creative process of how you two together come up with how does the creative process work when you and Laura write songs or perform with each other?
Yeah. So Laura is a very, very talented guitarist, singer, and songwriter. She's fantastic. She's got a beautiful voice. We met in a band 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I was playing percussion, and she came. Funnily enough, Daniel Waples was in that band.
Was he?
It was a studio project. This is back in 2008. It was a studio project called Cosmic Picnic, and we only ever gigged once. So, but yeah, it was But I never met Daniel at that point because it was a studio project. He came in and recorded his parts, and I never actually got to meet him in that whole time.
What did he play?
Sorry?
What did he play?
Oh, he was playing Hampan.
He was,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. He recorded Hampan for about 3 parts, but 3 of the songs. But yeah, I met my lovely wife out of that band, which was great. And we've been making music together in so many different ways. But the creative process, I suppose, often starts maybe with Laura might come with a chord sequence, a guitar, or a set of lyrics, and we sit together and we just play around with it and we see where it goes. And then over time, we gradually sort of those songs sort of get sort of we build them. I suppose I don't know how to describe it. My style of playing when I'm playing with Laura, as opposed to say just kind of creating hand-pan music by myself, is very different. I think.
Yeah?
Well, I find often I feel like I'm harmonizing with her voice and
Okay.
almost like sort of responding to her voice with the handpan. Yeah.
Does Laura ever pick up a handpan, or does she let you do that and she keeps with the guitar?
Sometimes she tends to stick to guitar, but she's actually pretty good handpan player as well. As my daughters, they're getting both my daughters enjoy playing too, which is nice.
Or you're gonna have to have a family band.
Family band, yeah. Well, they've joined us on stage a couple of times.
Have they?
Which is kind of sweet. Yeah, my eldest playing guitar and the youngest singing. So yeah, it's one way of keeping them interested while we're gigging.
Like I said right at the beginning, Lyndon, so many people in the community have I've got so many lovely things to say about you because of how open and approachable you are and how important you are to the community. You must have met a lot of people in the handpan community over the years. Is there one or two individuals that you think, looking back, whose connection that you've made has been especially important or has meant a lot to you?
I love how generous people are with these instruments, with their sharing them. Barry, Barry Mason, who first introduced me to that instrument. I can't, if it wasn't for Barry, I wouldn't be here having this conversation here potentially. Introducing me right back there. Two people that I think you will agree as well are Rob and Kelly, who set up Hangout UK 20 years ago. Those guys, I think, have brought together more people with these instruments than anybody else that I can think of. They're an absolute force of nature and have created something so special in the Hangout Festival. Obviously, that's been replicated and changed and developed in lots of other ways in other festivals, but it was the first. And so those two, I'm, huge respect for. Lovely guys. Mark Wilson from Panstream is the man that I have so much respect for. Mark, as a maker, as a person, as just he's been very generous to me in the past, but he's shared his love of these instruments, his skills on how to build them with so many people, and I think he's I think he's a wonderful man, and yeah. So I would say probably those four people to begin with. I could think of dozens and dozens more, but those people I would say are my people that I really would want to thank, or to have made such a big influence in my journey over the years.
Yeah, lovely suggestions, and I must share my current excitement, because I believe I'm probably 2 weeks away from having my first Panstream handpan now. Because of your generosity allowing me to play your amazing ELO Kurd, I think 2 years ago, I instantly fell in love. And I think, like you said, he has a magic touch in his hands, and through all the tools that he uses to make some beautiful instruments. Very understated, very mild-mannered, but makes wonderfully magical instruments. And I can't wait to get my hold on it. I'm getting a D-Kurd 14.
Excellent.
Because I just want to get back to jamming with others.
Yes.
The D-Kurd is still the main one that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
I could have chosen anything, but I've wanted to have a really lovely D-Kurd, and I couldn't think of anybody else that I've wanted to make it. So
no, absolutely.
I've been paying for it all year. I've been saving up and paying it off all year. It's not like I've got a load of money to throw at it. So I've just been like, so it's that long. Not as long as you guys used to wait back in the day, obviously, but it's been a whole year, so I'm getting close now.
I'm very pleased for you. You won't be disappointed, and
no, I won't.
I think his instruments are stunning. They really are. He's currently just released series called the Discovery series. So it's how would I say? He was looking for that sort of idea of an instrument if you're just beginning on your handpan journey. But my personal opinion is that the price and the quality ratio of those instruments are as good as it gets. You're not going to find a handpan at that quality anywhere else. I don't sell handpans for Mark, by the way. I'm astonished and amazed at like the kind of they're beautiful instruments. But I think he's doing some good work.
His Discovery. I am going to get hold of one of the Discovery pans as well. I've asked if I can have one so I can do a review on it and start to sort of share the sound. I really want to support him personally. And like you, I'm just spellbound by the sound that he could create. So yeah, big up and much love to Mark Wilson.
Yes,
Handstream. Totally. We'll add some links in the show notes for sure.
Yeah,
well, it's been lovely talking to you, Lyndon. This has been a long time coming.
It's been
so wonderful.
Good to talk to you too. Really, really lovely, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Tell the people who are listening or watching where they can find out more information about you.
WeNeedMusic.org is probably the best site at the moment. So all of the stuff from Pankind is on there. I run one of the. I didn't say about We Need Music before that we often run regular retreats and workshops with Pankind. The way that it works is in order to try and get away from relying on funding, I tend to use profits from those retreats and workshops to help run other things. For example, going into hospices or schools or the Young Carers project that we run. So that's all of those things are on our website, and or they will be. I'm about to book a load more in. So for next year, retreats and things. I've got my own website where I tend to put my music, which is lyndonforster.com. However, that's currently, I'm just changing it, so that's offline for a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, check it out.
Nice one. Thank you so much for your time, Lyndon. I really appreciate you being on Handpan
really
Voices.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Phil.